Hi, everyone. I got a request from a former student of mine yesterday where he was asking specifically this question you see on the top of the screen here. And when I got done talking to him, I did a little bit more research and I started thinking this would be a good conversation to record and put out on the YouTube channel as well. Definitely an opinion piece, and definitely I learned there's many different perspectives to this one. So I'd love to get your comments and feedback on this one, either on the LinkedIn channel or LinkedIn page where I post the link, but as well in the comments for the video too. So let's go ahead and get started here. What I told them first off is I said, we need to look at inventory in a couple different buckets, specifically in the areas of demand levels, whether it's low volume or high volume, and how much variation is going on low versus high. So what we put together was a classical segmentation chart in the middle here. Now his question was down here in the bottom right corner. What do I do in a make-to-order environment where we get customers who they call us spontaneously, they need something, it's a one-off, don't know if we're going to get any more demand from it because that's our niche is to do this make-to-order one-off. How do we manage inventory in that area? And we'll certainly get to it here, but I wanted to cover the other areas real quick to get you thinking about all the areas of your inventory, and hopefully you'll go back and do some analysis on your inventory as well. So if we look at the left side of the vertical arrow, those are kind of the ideal situations where you've got lower demand variation. And I think we all know that the less demand variation there is, the more we can respond to it with some security or safety, so to speak. The upper right corner, if you think about it, high volume, low variation. So, very much a strong make to stock environment. Where there's little variation and you're cranking out lots of parts. So it makes sense we would operate in that area where we're using pull systems as an example, Kanban as a tool in some fashion, even certainly reorder points, and where we'll statistically forecast, as well as we would definitely say yes to safety stock to cover the demand variation, be it normal variation or non-normal variation. So that's kind of a straightforward one. Bottom left has some elements of low variation but lower demand levels, but there's not as much variation. So in this case, I would suspect in some fashion, we're working to get some type of forecast from the customer. We're going to be doing demand management with them to actively manage the process. We'll certainly put some safety stock in because of demand variation, but we're also going to do, I would suspect, some type of contractual arrangement with the customer as well, because the demand levels are there. And if it's leaning a bit towards make to order, we don't want to be stuck with unique materials. And so that seems to be a direction to think about in the bottom left. Upper right corner here, so we're looking at the higher volumes, but we've also got higher demand variation. Certainly something like collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment would probably make sense here because we're having to work closely with the customer because of the demand variation and the risks that are involved there. Certainly could work off a reorder point with the customer, and certainly would probably entertain some type of contractual arrangement with the customer because of the impact of demand variation. And again, some type of safety stock, yes, but there's going to be a strong collaborative aspect because it's a high volume, want to take care of the customer, but also because there's high demand variation, we need to protect ourselves at the same time too. So bottom right corner, which seems to be the make to order, and that's where the custom, the former student's question was. To me, when you look at this, you're talking about low demand levels, so it's not something you're going to have very much demand for. And in his case, it's custom work that they're doing, and there's high variability. And he said it both in the volumes when they reach out and the variation from order to order. And so we really broke it up into two parts. I said, well, if they're coming back multiple times, you certainly can be looking at some type of contract with them and some kind of forecast, but you really need to work towards committing, because otherwise you're going to get stuck with something there. And I'd be very loath. What I told them was no on the safety stocks. Is what you buy for them is what they commit to, so build it into the contract. The right side, where while the demand's low, it's a one-off situation. They do a lot of custom work. I said contract for sure, but it's really got to be a case-by-case situation. And your customer has to understand and accept that if they're not going to give you any kind of warning and they're going to come out of the blue, you're certainly going to do the best you can, but you're responding to a situation where they want everything now. And when you look, I'll do this in the bottom right corner, when you look at our lead time versus customer lead time, if they're asking for something real fast here in the bottom right, customer lead time, and they haven't done anything to prepare you or announce it or anything else, then they're going to have to work with our best ability within our lead times. And I know this sounds callous, and it's easy for me. I said it to him also. I said, if they're not accepting of that, then you can consider charging them a premium, but I don't think you're beholden or under any obligation to have to turn your business upside down if the customer is not willing to work with you on that. But I told him, I said, if there's very high demand variation, low demand, for sure, no safety stock, because you don't know what's coming. You can't plan for it. And if this is inventory you can't plan for, then it has to be on a case-by-case basis, and it has to be built into the contract. And there's really no way around that unless you yourself as a business are willing to take on that risk and the extra costs involved. Otherwise, it's just not worth it towards you if you're in a category or a quadrant where there's no commonality of demand or any kind of consistency to be able to do any kind of plan and usage with that.